Welcome back to another episode of the KarterKast. I'm your host, Karter Baughan. On today's show, Davante Adams to the Jets. We discussed that. Amari Cooper to the Bills. Does that make them more of a Super Bowl contender? Most meaningful games of the week. Doug Peterson, does he get fired if the Jags barely even beat the Patriots? Or if they lose outright, does he make it back to Florida? Best and worst 1-2 punches in the league. And we talk about every single game in the NFL Week 7 slate. Make sure to stay tuned to the end because we have a winner of a parlay at the very end. And download SeatGeek. Use code KarterKast for $20 off your first purchase. Let's get to the show. We're live, full crew here today. Dylan, Ben, and Connor, we're all here. NFL Week 7 preview, Dylan? Am I right?
Week 7, one behind college football. We're getting Ben right before wedding night.
Let's
go, baby.
Should we elaborate on that, or?
No. Next. Go B block.
B block.
Producers in the ear.
Dylan, that was D block.
No, shoot. I missed an opportunity there.
Talent's going rogue.
Let's talk about the trades. This week. Two big wide receiver trades this week. Davante Adams to the Jets. Connor called it in the preseason. Do you like this trade, Connor?
I don't know how much this raises the Jets' ceiling. If we're comparing the two wide receiver trades that happened yesterday, I feel like Amari Cooper to the Bills raises the Bills' ceiling more than Davante Adams raises the Jets' ceiling. Now, am I mad that they traded for Davante Adams? No. He's still probably a top 15 receiver in the league, no matter what, on anybody's ranking. So anytime you have a chance to acquire a talent like that, you do it. And I guess anytime you can appease Aaron Rodgers even more, you have to do that as well. So, you know what? Great move all around, I guess.
That's what I'm saying. Sorry, Dylan. This feels like a LeBron making moves kind of thing. It's where, hey, I want my guys in here. Hey, I want my clutch clients in here. Eventually, it's going to be someone in Aaron Rodgers' inner circle that's going to be the head coach, like A.J. Hawk or Pat McAfee is going to be the head coach of the Jets.
It's like LeBron on those Cavs teams whenever they started out with like D-Wade and Derrick Rose and like all those guys, and it lasted like 30 games. They were like, what, 10 and 20?
Yeah, he's like, no. We got to win now. But now it's like the Lakers. J.J. Redick's the head coach. Dylan?
This is no longer the New York Jets. I mean, this is the Aaron Rodgers ayahuascas. This is no longer professional. This is Aaron Rodgers going and getting the guys he wants. And I'm surprised if we see Davante Adams play, because that would be an immaculate recovery from his hamstring or quadricep injury that he's been suffering for so long. Any coincidences there, you guys can chime in there later. But listen, does Davante Adams raise the ceiling? Who's going to get the bump? It's likely going to be Mike Williams. He's on the trade block now.
And he stinks. If you're getting hit in the nuts by a ball that you can't catch, I mean, he looked like a kid that gets struck out in kickball in that Monday Night Football game.
This is, as far as receiving talent, does it elevate the ceiling? Sure, maybe a little. I think it's more about the fact that Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams have been there before. They've played together, and they're going to be meshing. The only problem I could see happening is, again, when Aaron Rodgers runs out of people to blame. Is he going to blame Davante Adams? We haven't really seen him blame Lazard, who he had in his time at Green Bay. So I am not as much looking at how well is Davante Adams actually going to play. If things go poorly, how are things going to play out? And I think that says a lot more about this Jets team than Davante Adams' actual play on the field. Or does Davante Adams get fed up too? That's a possibility, because these are two situations: Rodgers with the Jets, Adams with the Raiders, where when things don't go their way or they don't get what they want, you see some baby-like tendencies as well.
Going from Minshew to Aaron Rodgers is a clear upgrade.
If
I'm Davante Adams, my leash is pretty long. Like Aaron Rodgers, for what he is at 41 years old, however old he is, that's an upgrade for Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell.
But let's say a couple drop passes, whatever. Adams hasn't played in a while. How long of a leash is Rodgers giving Adams, and how long is Adams going to take it?
We're seeing the same thing about Lazard.
Sure.
I was going to say, I think Rodgers gives a long leash to his guys. And he has a very short leash to not his guys. To guys that he didn't bring in. To guys that aren't. No, exactly. I mean, the only thing left that they can do is get Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as the head coach.
GM.
In here next year. Or GM and coach. But yeah, no, I think this is one of those things where obviously the Davante Adams move, if you're the Jets, if you're Aaron Rodgers, it's obvious. Like, I'm not going to criticize that. There seems to be this like excitement though. It feels like getting a guy like Davante Adams is almost like their way to just deflect. Like, the Jets organization has a great way of deflecting their current situation that's usually bad. They're always like, well, we got this guy. Where it's like Garrett Wilson is like tweeting stuff like, okay, it's time to go now. Has it not been time to go the past 2 years?
It's been 6 games this year already.
Yeah, and then you have like, that just like Pat McAfee where they're like, whoa! Well, they do that about anything every second of that show. But like Davante Adams walks in and you just see them both kind of like with that little smirk on their face. You're 2-4. You're 2-4. Like, they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to be a wild card team. They're too talented. The schedule eases up a little bit, and there's no other strong wild card contenders. But it's just sort of like they might just all need to shut up and do it at this point, because it feels like a lot of talking, a lot of excuses, a lot of, okay, it's time to be good now. Well, it's been time to be good the last year and a half, and you haven't been. So
that's a great point.
I'm kind of tired of the talk. If you're going to be good, let me just see it, because this Davante Adams trade is the last shot at it.
Two things. One, I didn't say it, but some are saying shut up and dribble, Ben. Is that what we're saying here?
Oh no!
Not on the cast,
brother.
No, because there's nothing political. It's just they talk about how good they are. They talk about how good they are, but they don't actually do it.
I didn't say there was a political connotation to that comment. I just say, shut up and play.
No, but there is. But there is. It is purely political.
Let the viewers make whatever assumptions.
Yeah. Connor, and then the other thing you mentioned, going from Minshew to Rodgers, it's like you're flying in a middle seat on Spirit and you get upgraded to Delta Comfort on your next flight. You're like, this is amazing. It's not quite first class. You're not playing with Pat Mahomes or Josh Allen, but it's nice.
But the seat on the seat on Delta, it's an old plane. The seat's a little. It's got some leather peeling off.
Some wear and tear.
It's squeaking whenever you try to recline it. I mean, let's not act like this is a premium seat on the plane here.
I will say, the Pat McAfee appearance where they're smirking and Davante Adams comes in behind him and they had the whole thing planned out, whatever. That is a clear sign to me that Aaron Rodgers is very aware of how people perceive him and what he's doing, and he's like, I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to get away with it. Oh, I had no clue Robert Saleh was on the chopping block. What are you talking about? Oh my gosh, my good buddy Davante Adams is here. I had no idea.
The fact that people think I'm making these decisions is crazy. What are you talking about?
Davante Adams is on a plane in New York 24 hours after that comment. It's like, what are we doing? I can't fault the Jets for getting him. It's an upgrade, and I think Garrett Wilson will benefit a ton from this, because all of a sudden he's not the focal point of the game plan on defense. I think he sees a big bump in production as well.
Connor, I need you for the clip. I need you to say something about Garrett Wilson's fantasy stock going up.
I think Garrett Wilson's fantasy stock, boom!
I love it.
That nice 5-second clip there. We got a Vine.
We got a Vine. Yeah. Put a loop on it. Put a repeat.
Yeah, just loop the Vine. Dylan, anything else before we move on?
Yes, I wanted to ask a question. I think I know the answer. This Davante Adams acquisition for the New York Jets, does it happen regardless of the outcome on Monday Night Football?
I think yes.
I think so too.
Even if it's not immediate, it's the next loss, the next interaction between him and Saleh that, Saleh gets fired 2 weeks later, whatever. I think this was bound to happen. I said it in the preview show that all roads were leading to this, and that hamstring injury wasn't going away for Davante Adams until something like this happened. So
I think the deal was already done, and I think after Mike Williams got hit in the nuts because he couldn't catch a pass, I think that's when they said, send the trade in.
Expedite it.
We need a wide receiver. Yes. He was awful in that game. I may or may not have live bet Mike Williams over 9.5 receiving yards at halftime, and then he drops those 2 passes. That's why I have a little vendetta against him. But whatever. Gamblers. Stuff. Yeah, gamblers are like elephants. It's not just because we're all fat, but also we never forget. So
them some death threats.
Deep. Yeah. That's pretty common these days. Stuff right there.
Yeah. So
gamblers are like elephants. We're not just fat, but we never forget. That's good stuff.
That is good stuff.
Aristotle once said that.
Mm-hmm.
Socrates. Socrates?
Yeah. Socrates if you play Assassin's Creed. That's what.
Yeah,
that's
Socrates.
What
Yeah. Okay, nice. Amari Cooper gets traded to the Bills. We'll quickly touch on this real quick. I think it's going to be unanimous. We all love the move. It's what they needed. And they gave up basically nothing.
You know what I saw? I saw Drake May played his first game and the AFC East panicked and traded for two good wide receivers after seeing one Drake May game. They know he's coming. That's my takeaway. But realistically, I think Amari Cooper raises the ceiling of this Bills team a lot more than Adams does for the Jets. I think this is a perfect move for them. Let's not forget, he's kind of faded to the background of relevancy on this Browns team. He's had 1,000-yard seasons for the last 5. And he did it with, 5 starting quarterbacks last year? And Josh Allen is head and shoulders above any quarterback he's ever played with. Sorry, Dak. Sorry, Deshaun Watson. Sorry, Derek Carr. Sorry, PJ Walker. But Josh Allen's the best quarterback he's played with. I think he is exactly what they need. Even if it's only for a year or two. This is the perfect guy for this team.
You've seen him take a drop-off this year, right? But there's just so much context you have to add to that. And that's one of the situations where you can look at stats, you can look at PFF ratings, but you have to add context to what's happening this year. And we've hinted on it. I've kind of insinuated that maybe Deshaun Watson isn't all of the problem in Cleveland, and there's a lot of things wrong there. But Josh Allen, I feel, is a guy you can get up for. And I think if you've watched the Cleveland Browns, you see that Amari Cooper might not be out there giving it his all. So I think this is going to be a nice change of scenery. It helps the Bills. Amari Cooper's a bit rejuvenated. I love the move, and I think it makes the Bills a front runner in the AFC East if they weren't already.
Connor, you had a question there?
Just no comment there. It's not hard to get up for Josh Allen. Is that what it was? Or
yeah,
I thought we were going somewhere else. No, of course not. Is it hard to get up for Josh Allen, boys?
That's not a question for us.
I'm just saying.
Not hard for me to get up for Josh Allen.
If you're a receiver, it's pretty easy.
In all seriousness, it cannot be understated how much moving to a winning situation all of a sudden changes morale, changes play. And we see in all major sports, especially the NBA, all of a sudden the guy's putting up horrible numbers, arguing with the coach. He goes to a great team. All of a sudden he looks great. Like I cannot understate how much a winning situation changes things. So I'm with you, Dylan. Bills, AFC East, they should have already been the favorites, but I think this solidifies that.
Yeah, and also you go from that situation where Kevin Stefanski's being held hostage by the owners in Cleveland, being like, no, you're going to play this guy. We paid $400 billion for this guy, and he's guaranteed. You're
Karter,
playing him.
He gives them their best chance to win, though. Have you thought of that?
No, yeah.
I'm just saying.
I had the eyes right there of like John Gruden, the new John Gruden videos. People are like, is Karter nicey? Yeah, it's like, is Karter on coke? What's going on here? Is he on coke like Gruden?
Just got
he got me feeling real nicey.
That's it.
Yeah,
podcast listeners.
Yeah, I've got my Gruden down. Ben, thoughts on the trade?
Yeah, no, I think it was funny that the timing of it coming right after the Davante Adams. Yes. It was just sort of like, we don't need to be all flashy. We don't need to make this a big deal. I think really the difference, I like both moves for both teams, but I do kind of feel like the Bills are just going to have the edge because they have Josh Allen. I mean, say what you want about Aaron Rodgers. He's still a good quarterback. He's not what he was in his prime, but I mean, Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the division. That felt like that was a big difference. You've got a more well-rounded roster. I mean, the Bills' run defense still isn't great, but the Jets' offensive line struggles. Both teams have holes, but I think the Bills are just a step ahead at this time. And I think by getting Amari Cooper, you're almost like if the Bills are right here, the Jets are right here. Like the Jets made a move to try to get like right equal, and then the Bills said, okay, we're just going to move ahead again. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's kind of a net equal in the end. So
I'm going to ask.
Don't you feel? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead, Connor.
I was like, don't you feel worse about the Amari Cooper trade because he didn't appear on Pat McAfee? I feel like that's got to be a big factor.
How many media appearances does a receiver make after getting traded? And that's very important to know.
What is the worst show a media player or a player could go on where you're like, oh, he's on that show?
Anything on Fox Sports?
Undisputed.
Trying to think of a good one.
Is it Speak? Is it Speak that has Keyshawn Johnson?
I have two.
Okay.
I don't know if this show is still on the air, but Numbers Never Lie.
I don't even know what that is.
It was an ESPN show. It was so bad. And then Jim Rome is Burning. Is that still a show?
Any show where like maybe like if Amari Cooper just showed up on First Pitch, a baseball show that's not even related to football, that'd be pretty good.
Or if he showed up on like Tucker Carlson or something.
Oh, that's a good one. Fox News, the 5 on Fox News.
Yeah.
And then
Dylan would be locked in.
Bill Super Bowl. Bill Super Bowl take every push. Or like if he just automatically showed up at 3rd seat on PTI, just right in the middle.
I was thinking PTI. Yeah, I was thinking PTI.
I had one question before we moved on here. Do you put any thought into the fact that this could have been a panic move by the Bills? Do you think they were in the Adams talk and they see Adams gets traded and they're like, oh, we got to go find someone else?
Not at all. I don't think it's a panic
Adams
move
was
at all.
locked up.
I think this was planned out. I think this was very orchestrated, and I think that the Shakir injury, where you're like, okay, he's a little banged up, Coleman's too young, we need an experienced wide receiver here. I think they felt that was the missing piece to elevate them to a Super Bowl contender, true Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what I compare this to? The Davante Adams thing? It's like when you're in high school or college and there's this girl and she breaks up with her boyfriend and you're like, man, like I have a chance now. Let's go. And then you look back at like their Instagram post or something and you're like, wait, they've broken up 3 times in the last year and a half. Like she's just going to go right back to him in 3 months. There's not even any point. I think that's the Davante Adams point here where it's like the rest of the league knew that if he was going anywhere, it had to be the Jets. Like Aaron Rodgers is that ex-girlfriend that was calling him up for a booty call late at night. And he's like, you know what? I need you back over here, Davante Adams. And he's like, my hamstring's great. I'm getting on a plane tonight. Fly me out, Aaron Rodgers. Fly me out.
I know it seems a little backwards because Derek Carr is a Christian guy, but I think Derek Carr was the booty call. You go to Vegas, you leave a stable situation in Green Bay, you're winning football games with Aaron Rodgers, you've been with him forever, and all of a sudden you're like, ooh, go to Vegas with Derek? That doesn't sound too bad.
Fresno State boy.
Remember what we had in college?
Oh, that was fantastic.
Good. That was good. Good bit.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about some games this week. Connor, what is the most meaningful game this week? It's a loaded slate.
I'm going to go, I think this is going to be everybody. Well, actually, it might not be everybody's answer. I'm going Lions-Vikings because people are going to say Chiefs-49ers. We can get into that later. But I think the most meaningful game of this slate is Detroit-Minnesota because 2 reasons. Number one, for the Vikings, they've had huge wins this year. 49ers, Texans, Packers, great wins. I don't want to take anything away from those. But this will be the biggest test they've had so far. Surging Lions offense, 50-point game against Dallas, coming off that. Yes, the Vikings have played good teams, but this is different. This Lions offense is different than what they've played against. And then for the Lions, this is hands down the best defense they're going to play. You look at the Lions' wins so far, Rams, Tampa Bay, Arizona, Seattle, Dallas. Those defenses are not in the same stratosphere as this Vikings defense. So I think it's going to tell us a lot about whether or not Jared Goff and this Lions team is for real, and also whether or not Sam Darnold and this Vikings team are legit contenders in the NFC, because he started to look a little bit more like Sam Darnold lately against the Jets, especially in the last 2 quarters against the Packers. Like the last 6 quarters, this Vikings offense has not been great. So like I think this is the game where we find out if they're just a flash in the pan, because it's only been 6 weeks, or if they're legitimately going to be like a playoff contender in the NFC. So I think this is the best matchup. Plus, I want to see the Lions without Aiden Hutchinson, how they react to that.
That's the biggest point I wanted to hit on is I think we're going to see – I'm very curious to see how we see this Lions team without Aiden Hutchinson. Ali McNeil, shout out him. He got a nice contract this week. I think that's the game of the week, too. I can pick another one later on. But let's actually talk about this game right now. Who do you think wins this game? I'll go with you, Dylan.
I need to call something out. A little inside KarterKast. Ben's been coming at me, right? I've been rooting for the Guardians in the MLB playoffs. He's been tweeting at me about Tiger stuff. Sorry about it. They get bounced. And then I picked the Cowboys last week against the Lions, and they get blown out, right? Bad pick. Hand up. I'll be the first one to do it. But then Ben sends me some gif about the teams before their bye weeks. I'm like, okay, whatever. There's bad mojo. There's bad mojo going on right now, and I need to fix it with this Lions talk. So Ben, I think the Lions win. I also raise your hand if your NFL parlay pick won last week too. Ben should be the only other one raising his hand. There we go. Olive branch. There we go, Ben.
Sean Payton screwed me.
There we go, baby. I love the Lions.
I picked a communist pick. I'm never picking a London pick again. I'm USA, baby.
Yeah, it's tough. London was tough. Lions, Vikings, I love the Lions here. For most of the reasons you guys already said, I think both defenses are great. That says more about the Lions because if they had any question marks coming into this year, it was the Lions defense. And even though they lose Aiden Hutchinson, I still like the secondary, and maybe that's a product of having a guy up front that can force pressures. One thing I want to bring up, and we talked about it in the NFC North preview, is Jared Goff in a dome. Jared Goff under pressure. it's no secret that the Vikings and Brian Flores love to blitz. They blitz more than any other team in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
But Jared Goff's PFF rating is 13 points higher when blitzed than when not blitzed. And there's only one reason I could think of this is when the defenses are bringing in more guys to come at the passer, the Lions O-line just holds up extremely well. So you lose guys in coverage trying to get pressure on Jared Goff, and Jared Goff just exposes those weaknesses in the secondary. And I think this is what we're going to see from the Lions. The offensive line is great. They protect him. Sure, Brian Flores is going to bring extra guys and try to pressure Jared Goff, but I don't think the Lions offensive line lets it happen. I love the Lions here. I was shocked they're an underdog. The Vikings are the second luckiest team in the NFL according to Action's luck rankings. I'm going to fade that every day. I think it's Lions. I think it's Lions big.
And Ben, I'm going to ask you this as well. Do you think Ben Johnson versus Brian Flores, that's the matchup I'm looking at. Who gets the edge there? Because Ben Johnson has not been afraid to, call some of these plays, get outside the box. I'm curious what you think.
It's hard for me to really get a feel of who has the edge. Like, it's a lame thing to say, but I think we're just going to find out Sunday who has the edge. I do think, though, that Brian Flores, I don't know if you guys saw his presser yesterday where they're like, hey, Ben Johnson's a very aggressive play caller. They like to do a lot of different things, a lot of goofy things. Like, how do you combat that? And he just said, I like to fight fire with fire. That kind of feels to me a little bit like, I'm jaded as a Lions fan, but a little bit, maybe the Lions are wanting him to do that. They're wanting him to get overly aggressive. Yeah. And I mean, we talked about it, Dylan. I think a big part of Jared Goff, he has been a lot better under pressure. There was times in that Seattle game where pressure was getting home and you would see him do like, Jared Goff's a big fan of like the Trevor Lawrence, like spin move to nowhere and then get sacked. Like he's always been a big fan of that. He seems like he has more pocket presence. He seems a little more confident. He's like, okay, I'm going to wait a second. Okay, like I've got a second here. Let me step over here and I'll find something. I just think the Lions offense is so well-rounded that you're kind of picking your poison. You want to blitz? Well, the offensive line is going to pick that up pretty well, especially with like a pass protector in the backfield like David Montgomery picking up stuff as well. And then it's okay, you're bringing blitzes, and then you've got three guys trying to cover Sam Laporta, Jamison Williams, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. And if the O-line is able to hold up for any amount of time, one of those guys is going to be open, and they're going to make you pay. I think on the defensive side as well, kind of what Dylan was saying, Aiden Hutchinson is a massive loss. He is the early favorite for Defensive Player of the Year. He has been fantastic. He's been the best edge rusher in football this year. With that being said, the Lions lost in the NFC Championship game by one possession. And this defense, even without Aiden Hutchinson, is better than it was last year. I feel pretty confident in saying that. And that's not downplaying how big of a loss Aiden Hutchinson was. It's just saying this Lions defense was very good. With Aiden Hutchinson, it's a top 10 defense. Without him, I think it's still a top half of the league defense. And the top half of the league defense is a lot better than the defense was last year. You still got probably the best safety tandem in Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch. You still got a very good core of linebackers. The interior defensive line is very strong with Aleem McNeil and DJ Reader. So we'll find out Sunday, but I would not be shocked to see the Lions win this game. And even without Aiden Hutchinson, we're feeling like the Lions are the class of the NFC right now, because I believe they are.
I would like to clear my name real quick, because you said something there I don't totally agree with. You said Jared Goff has been better under pressure. I want to make a distinction there. He's been better when blitzed. And I think that goes to speak to the offensive line. And I want to bring this up. Jared Goff, and this is good for the Lions. Jared Goff, when pressured, 26 passer rating on PFF. When you go on PFF, you can choose to filter between a percent of dropbacks or whatever. If you go to what I do normally, 50% of the max dropbacks, Jared Goff doesn't even show up. That just goes to show you how little he actually gets pressured. And I want to make that distinction is Goff looks great. He's better when he's blitzed, because you lose those guys in coverage on defense, and Goff has exposed that this year. Now, if they do get pressure, different game. Different game for Jared Goff, but I don't think they will.
Give me the Vikings.
Holy crap! There's no way.
What have
you seen from this Vikings team that makes you want to take them?
What have I not seen from this Vikings team?
They've got some impressive wins.
What are you talking about? If you want to talk about battle tested, look at this Vikings team. They've beaten everybody. This game's in Minnesota. Sam Darnold coming off a bye. What?
Dome.
I don't care about a dome. Who cares? Sam
You should
Darnold's
care
good in a
about
dome too. Sam Darnold's good in a dome too. This Vikings defense is going to have success.
They're so not. I'm glad we disagree.
I think we're underestimating the loss of Aiden Hutchinson here. He makes this Lions defense. This is a huge loss, and it's also
they had him last year. The defense sucked.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to counter with.
Okay, fine. You know what? Give me the Vikings. Just watch. We'll let it play out. Aaron Jones is coming back this week. They're going to have success on the ground. Hawkinson.
Yeah.
I don't think Hawkinson's back this week, but I could be wrong.
Okay, I saw something about it.
I don't think it's a stupid pick. I just think that, like,
Say
you have
it's
to
a stupid
realize.
pick. Come on.
No. I'm just saying that I think that the Aiden Hutchinson loss on defense is big, but like they're just so much better at every position group on defense than they were last year. So you may not like the matchup this week, but like I'm thinking more from a macro level. I'm not as concerned about the Lions' defense as probably most are.
No, I think the Lions still win 13 games, but I still think the Vikings are one of the best teams in the NFC, maybe in the NFL right now. They are this good.
Carter,
why do you not?
So are the Lions, though. So are the Lions.
Absolutely, but this game's being played in Minnesota, and I believe in this Vikings team. I think they're fantastic. I don't know what we've all of a sudden we've just been poo-pooing the Vikings lately, Dylan.
Carter, I'll do the heavy lifting. Very stupid pick. Lions for me is a 5-star. We're gonna have serious conversation. It's 5-star. We're gonna have a serious conversation about this Vikings. We're gonna have a serious conversation about this Vikings team once this game's over. This is gonna be A block on first take. It's gonna be bad.
Okay,
it's gonna be bad.
Spin zone. What happens if the Vikings come out and have a convincing win? Will you finally believe in this Vikings team?
Bet the Lions division odds.
Okay, I don't want to say I don't. Yeah, right,
yeah.
Connor. Connor's got the right idea.
That's probably the right idea.
I don't want to say I'm out on this Vikings team, but do you trust this Vikings team if the Lions just come out 14-0? We haven't seen it yet.
And the other point is the Vikings have allowed these teams in the last couple weeks to make the comeback. Packers especially, and then the Jets, they had control of that game, and the Jets still should have won that if we're being completely honest.
Yeah.
They've allowed these comebacks. If the Vikings go up 10 points, I'm not even that worried. I might live bet the Lions. Like this Vikings defense, as good as they are, they've allowed teams to put up points through the air whenever the other team's trailing. So that is a point to hit on. And the other thing is Vikings rush defense has been great. I think they're second in the league in rush defense right now. How quickly do the Lions not abandon the run, but if it's not working, is Dan Campbell going to be stubborn or Ben Johnson going to be stubborn and just keep pounding it up the middle and say, we're going to get this eventually?
Wear 'em out.
Or do they abandon it pretty quickly and just start passing the ball 50 times?
They have passed the ball 50 times this year, to be fair. Like they've done that against Tampa Bay. I do think it's an offense that's well-rounded enough.
What happened in that game?
They lost. But they outgained. They doubled the amount of yards that Tampa Bay had in that game, to be fair.
Ben's talking my language right there.
Washed up Carolina quarterbacks could just be this Lions kryptonite. Baker, Sam Darnold, that's what scares me.
It might be.
Mono. I've had mono myself. Sam Darnold, we're in this together, brother. We got this. We're survivors.
Can we all do that real quick all at the same time?
That's the thumbnail?
Mono.
That might be the thumbnail.
Dylan, what's your most meaningful game this week?
Most meaningful. I mean, obviously, I think the obvious answer is the Lions-Vikings game. So I'm not going to say that. I'm going to go prime time. Two teams that have made some changes. It's Russie time, baby.
Oh, no.
It's Russie time in Pittsburgh. This game means the world for Pittsburgh. It means the world for the New York Jets. Obviously, this is going to be the second game under the new head coaching tenure for the Jets. And then Russie is taking first string snaps in practice. We could see him start. And now, if he does not start, kind of changes how important this game is, in my opinion. But it makes it just very clear. Russell Wilson was the starter of this team since day one. And even though Pittsburgh's winning games, if Mike Tomlin is comfortable enough to make this quarterback change, it goes to speak as to how the people within Pittsburgh, the organization, not the city, view Russell Wilson. I think this is a huge game. It means a lot. And this is the start. If they've ever handed out an MVP for a guy that's played 10 games, it's this year. Russell Wilson, baby. He's going to look great if he starts.
Dylan, question.
Okay.
If they start Russell Wilson, and even though Justin Fields led them to a 4-2 record, played decently well, did enough, would you blame him for demanding a trade?
Justin?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
All right. I just wanted that on the record. I don't want to hear you being like, Ohio State guy wanting out. He doesn't want to stick it out, be loyal to his team.
Oh, that's a great point. I might have to change my answer because of that. That's a great angle. No, I won't blame him, but then I will have the conversation. Ohio State quarterbacks just hopping from team to team, journeyman. Can't stay somewhere and be a starter.
Will 20 points be scored in this game?
Total?
By either team.
If Russell starts for the Steelers, they'll put up 30 plus.
Stop. No, now you're reaching. That's not true.
Okay, you're right. That you're right. I'm reaching.
You're right. 29.
Yeah, 29.
Yeah,
28 points.
I'm curious about this show's integrity now that we talked about Jets Steelers before Chiefs 49ers. I'm just wondering.
That was going to be my pick, but you know.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. But I want to talk. We can talk about Jets Steelers though in this game.
Yeah.
I don't know. Throw a coin up. I don't know. Give me the Jets, I guess.
In all honesty, in terms of like analyzing the game, you really don't have much to go off of because the Jets roster turnover, you have the coaching changes, and then the Steelers, if you have Russell Wilson starting at quarterback, which we don't officially know yet. Russell's been taking first string practice snaps, but Dan Orlovsky's even said he thinks that Justin will be the starter this
So
week.
Dylan, your criteria in college, especially with Michigan, is asterisk, they're 0-0, they're 1-0 with Jack Tuttle, whatever. Steelers are 4-2 right now. If Russell Wilson starts, we bump them down to 0-0, right? That has to be the case.
I mean, I think you have to, but then you open up the possibility for an undefeated season. So then you have the sports books. Are they going to have to pay out all the bets for the Steelers? It gets a little hairy.
Yeah, a little hairy.
Yeah,
a little hairy. Yeah. So what are the Raiders? Are they just like 0-2, 0-2?
I think that's the only way you can address that situation.
Break it up by quarterbacks. Without Devontae Adams, now they're 0-0 again because Devontae Adams is gone. You know, we have to have all day.
We have to have a conversation about the Dolphins with Tua.
Yeah, Dolphins might still be, in the thick of things.
Hey, we all picked the AFC Dolphins to win the AFC East, so we're not wrong.
That's
we're
true.
Not wrong.
That's true. We're in first right now.
Yeah, this is a coin flip game. I know it's terrible. We're on a podcast and we're like, you should have opinion and whatnot.
Well,
but
you can't. You can't. Yeah.
I don't want to lie to the people and say Jets big in this spot. No, you can't.
The game itself is important. We can't analyze it, but it's a very important game.
It is a very important game. I think the other meaningful game, number one for me is Vikings Lions still, but then I think number two, Chiefs Niners. This is crazy. Yep. We haven't even talked about this game. This is the third game we're talking about. This game's in Santa Clara. The Niners are favored. But, Dylan, I see what you're saying there, and I kind of agree. We know these teams.
That is the point, yes. Because we've seen it before. Even if the Chiefs lose 6 or 7 games in the regular season, we know who they are in the postseason. The 49ers, they're started off slow, 3-3. We know they're going to be there in a few months in the postseason. We know they're going to win a playoff game. I think you're right, Carter. This is an exciting game, a fun game for NFL fans. But as far as what I'm going to take away about each team, it's not going to tell me that much.
No. And also, Mahomes as a dog, Dylan, do we have to take the Chiefs? I think we're obligated to.
So, number one rule of the show, what is it?
Chiefs over 3.5. Don't take it.
You fade them, yes. But number two rule, Patrick Mahomes is a dog. You have to bet it. So,
The stat you'll see 100 times this week. I've got it right here. Mahomes' career underdog, 11-1-1 against the spread, 10-3 straight up, which is absurd.
And that tells you what you need to know right there. That's exactly it. Do we want to dive into this game?
Sure, yes.
Okay. I think the game plan for the Chiefs here, I'm on the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs win. Obviously, we talked about it. Mahomes is a dog. The 49ers are obviously rested because they played Thursday Night Football, but the Chiefs are coming off their bye, so the Chiefs have the rest advantage. I think the difference here, the interior part of the Chiefs' offensive line is very solid, and I think that the Chiefs are going to want to open up that run game early. Just run between the tackles, wear them down. The one matchup I do want to point out that favors San Francisco, Bosa's going to have his way with penalty boy Jawan Taylor there on the right tackle. I mean, it's going to be rough for him. But I do think that if the Chiefs prioritize running the ball through the tackles early in the game, they can expose the 49ers early, and that opens things up as the game goes. So I like the Chiefs here. I think the Chiefs win.
Yeah, we saw this game 2 years ago in Santa Clara, and the Chiefs just handled business in San Francisco. I think that was McCaffrey's first game, actually, as a 49er.
We saw this game last year, too, in the Super Bowl. Super
Yeah,
Bowl.
in the Super Bowl. They didn't handle. That was a close game.
No, they didn't handle. You're right. They didn't handle in the Super Bowl.
They didn't
Overtime.
handle. Ben, thoughts on this game?
I mean, honestly, I don't know if Dylan's a big fan of this or not, but I do know the Chiefs have the 49ers number. Like that, I do feel like whenever these teams match up, maybe I'm wrong, I could be corrected. When the Chiefs and 49ers have played as of late with Patrick Mahomes wins all those games. Maybe someone some listener will be like, in 2021, the 49ers actually won the Sunday night game in week 11 that I don't know about. But I do think this is one of those spots you can't bet against the Chiefs as an underdog. I mean, that's a rule of the show that's been stated, and I wouldn't do it even if it wasn't a rule. I mean, we're talking about a 49ers team without Christian McCaffrey right now. If this 49ers team was rolling, maybe I would consider thinking that they would win, especially at home against the Chiefs. But this is a team without McCaffrey. They had a good game against Seattle. I'm not sure how much I really buy Seattle. We just haven't seen a ton from San Francisco so far this year. And as Connor said, and I agree with, they're going to be in the mix. They're going to be an NFC divisional round, NFC conference championship team. I have no doubts about that. But we've seen nothing so far to date that should make you think that even at home they should be favored over an undefeated Chiefs team. So for that reason, I'm leaning Chiefs. I don't feel super strongly because I still like this Niners team, but without McCaffrey, I feel like it's like Vegas is overreacting a little bit having the Niners as favorites here. I like Chiefs like 28-24.
Connor, let's talk real quick.
Please.
Ooh,
I've got some,
I don't know. I don't
some
think
numbers
Dylan
for you.
believes in this, but I think you and I do. This is a rat line, isn't it?
I think so too.
I think this is a rat line.
It has to be a rat line. Which way though? Because it could honestly be one both ways.
I think it's a rat. I think they're begging you to take the Chiefs.
You think so? You see the plus sign with the Chiefs, and they're like, "Please do it."
I don't
know.
I worry about the Chiefs' run game. The running backs.
But
how many?
Kareem
You
Hunt's
don't worry about
okay.
the Niners' run game though. Jordan Mason might not even play, and the Chiefs' defense allows less
That's
than
true.
90 rush yards a game.
That's fair.
It's like that's one point.
Maybe
another point. Sorry, go ahead.
Keep going because I think
Another
I'm
point I want to bring
overthinking
up.
this.
I think you are too because I'm on the Chiefs. Listen to this stat. We talked about Mahomes as underdog, blah, yada, yada, yada. Chiefs are coming off a bye. You know what Andy Reid's record off a bye is? 21-4. It's the best in NFL history.
I'm on the Chiefs.
Like, that's the best in NFL history for a coach by a large margin. And the thing about it is, the Chiefs, I talked about it in the preseason. I said they might sleepwalk through some of these regular season games. They're not going to take some of these seriously. Coming off a bye week when they're rested in a Super Bowl rematch, once again, I said it on the opening night, this is not a game they're going to take lightly. This is not a game they're going to sleepwalk through. They're going to be prepared, an extra week to prepare for this Niners team. And Andy Reid and Mahomes is an underdog, Andy Reid off a bye. I'm trusting them to take care of business even on the road here. I love the Chiefs. I don't want to overthink it because I feel like every time I overthink a Chiefs game, they just come out and win outright.
Yep.
Every time.
Yep. And also to add to that, doesn't it feel like we're going to have this game, Chiefs win by however much, and then the top story on Monday is, well, can they go undefeated like that Pats team? Can they go 17
and
then
they lose to the Broncos or something like that. Like that's what's going to happen
exactly.
every single year. And Mahomes, it's crazy because this is the worst start to a season Mahomes has had since he's been a starter. He's on pace for almost 20 interceptions. But what is crazy about this Chiefs team, and honestly kind of frustrating as an opposing fan, as Mahomes has like a little bit of a dip in the regular season, that defense goes up even more. That defense has been great. And it's crazy because it's like, oh man, finally Mahomes has, not lost a step, but is having a worse regular season than we're used to. But the defense is picking up the slack. So it doesn't even matter.
I think it's just upsetting as a Chiefs hater like yourself.
Well,
you're a Chiefs hater?
Whenever we get in the best 1-2 punches, I have Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift as my number one option. So I not to spoil it, but that's my olive branch to the Chiefs.
Okay, real quick, Ben, last meaningful. Oh, Dylan?
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay, all right, nice. We might cut that. Who knows? We might just leave it.
No, leave it in there.
Give him the raw cut. Ben, most meaningful game. I think there's a clear choice here out of the three we already talked about.
I do think it's Lions Vikings, but just because, as we said, like the Chiefs 49ers is one where I feel like no matter what happens during the regular season, as long as they make the playoffs, I feel like I've got a good grip on what these teams are. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I've got a good grip on what the Lions are, but still, although I have confidence in the defense without Aiden Hutchinson, want to see it. And the Vikings are I don't want to say they're a question mark, but it's very much like are you for real status check on Sunday.
Or are they going to flame out is really what it is. Because, like, a great start, but let's not forget, we are only in the mid-October. So, like, very easily they could lose 6 of the next 8 games, and all of a sudden we're like, man, remember that Vikings team started out pretty hot?
How do we feel about Texans-Packers as one of the most meaningful games of the week?
Yeah, kind of fraud off, maybe.
Fraud off?
Maybe. Fraud off?
Fraud off?
We've talked about this Texans team before. I mean, the Bills handed them their game. Yeah, they had the loss to the Vikings. I don't know. Texans are number 1 in the luck rankings. And, those have made me very, very rich man. I have a meta quest coming in today just because of the luck rankings.
Do they have college luck rankings real quick? And then Connor go?
They do Havoc. So, like, offensive and defensive Havoc. It's kind of similar, but no. It's still good, though.
The one thing I'm looking for from this Texans team, and I've still yet to see it, can they play a complete game? Can they play 4 quarters and just convince me that they're one of these elite teams? I haven't seen it yet. They're 3-point dogs in Green Bay. I don't know if this is the spot we see it in, honestly.
And the Pats doesn't count. People will be like, yo, did you watch the Pats? Pats doesn't count.
Against a mediocre team.
Not mediocre. They were the worst team in football. They're worse than the Panthers.
Saying they need to do it against a mediocre team.
Need to do it against a mediocre team. I like what you said there. Nice. Yeah, I think it's a fun game. I think that's this is the opposite of you like Lions games. I feel like you pick an anytime touchdown score and just hits every single time. This is the game where you will 100% pick the wrong anytime touchdown score. You'll be like, you know what? Christian Watson's going to get one. Christian Watson doesn't play the second half for no reason. And then
don't do it.
Yeah. Or Nico Collins is out. You're like, okay, Stephon Diggs. And you're like, who is this backup tight end whose name I can't pronounce for the life of me? He scores?
That's why I'm going Cade Stover in this game.
There you
Ohio
go.
State, Ohio State connection.
They have the other one. They have 3. It's Schultz, Stover, and then Alu.
Oh, Jordan.
No.
Jerome Jordan? Oh, no. Okay.
Isn't there like an Alu Bagle, something like that?
That's the backup running back.
Running back. Okay, yeah, we got there. He's going to score. I'm just putting it out there right now. I can't pronounce his name. He's going to score. Anyhow, let's do best. Let's do best 1-2 punch.
Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift.
Money maker. Print the money, baby.
Yep.
All those Chiefs fans that have been in my comment section.
So Connor, just go for the next 2 minutes praising the king and queen of pop culture.
Another 1-2 punch. Taylor Swift and the NBC broadcast crew.
Ooh.
I think that's a good one. Chris Collinsworth, Taylor Swift would be another one. It's Taylor Swift than anybody, really.
Does she live rent-free in your head, Connor?
Of course.
Okay.
Honestly, of course.
All right.
Somehow, every comment I make about that gets clipped off, and then Chiefs fans just take it and run.
Do you like her music?
I actually do.
I was gonna say I thought we had a conversation. Yeah,
we
Taylor
did.
Swift has some good.
She's got some good songs.
She has some bops. Not quite Olivia Rodrigo or Tate McRae status, but
thank you, Beyonce, for that.
What is that?
You've seen that too.
I have.
Oh yeah.
What about Chris Collinsworth and Patrick Mahomes?
That's great.
One.
That's a great 1-2 punch. Here's a guy.
I tell you what, he's just so much fun.
Yeah, that might be
That's a good one. That's a really good 1-2 punch.
Yeah. Dylan, what's your 1-2 punch?
I had 2. One is actually like tangible. The other is not as tangible. The tangible one for my 1-2 punch, I'm going Harbaugh. That's it. Because both of them are playing on Monday night. 2 Monday night games. You get the Chargers, you get the Ravens. Did we see that commercial on
Yes.
Monday? Oh my gosh. That was the worst commercial I think I've ever seen in my life. Of the lady that was just sitting at her 5 computer screens talking about how Harbaugh versus it was an awful commercial.
Is that not what you're doing right now?
Only 2
Okay.
3 screens. 3 screens. three screens. Oh shoot. But no, I'm not gonna say it. Never mind. My actual 1-2 punch, a different 1-2 punch, Will Levis in frontal lobe development. You can visibly see his brain just absolutely dissociate from his body whenever he has to make a semi-tough decisions. And it's like the brain is saying do one thing, but his body's like, oh, I got to throw the ball in the triple coverage. But then the frontal lobe's like, hey, Will, maybe you shouldn't do that. The other team's going to catch it. So maybe not best 1-2 punch, but most interesting 1-2 punch. I'm going Will Levis in his frontal lobe.
It's not fully developed till you're 25, right?
Yeah, technically it's not fully developed yet. So
there's still time.
Yeah.
So, Jury's still out.
I just love how much of a meme he is, and just like what's the picture this week? And the picture this week was him just taking out a dude on the sideline who's getting stretchered off.
Horrible.
My best 1-2 punch. I abstained from these jokes. but I think now I'm allowed to legally. Bryce Young in puberty.
Good one.
Bryce Young still hasn't hit puberty, so once he gets there and gets the growth hormones and whatnot, we have an elite quarterback.
I was going to say Bryce Young and the headset he wears on the bench.
The tablet.
Yeah, the tablet, yeah. The water cooler.
Kirk Cousins in 2-minute drives. Dylan, I know you love
that's a great one. That is a great one.
My serious one, I feel like this might be the best quarterback wide receiver duo in the league. CJ Stroud and Nico Collins are just insane, and I feel like they don't get talked about enough.
It's like the image of the two guys with the red bandana and the blue bandana tied together holding them up. That's Michigan Ohio State right there, coming together for the sake of their team.
We need
to Photoshop
That's
that.
a good point.
We need to
that's a good
I'm
point,
making a
Carter.
note. I'm photoshopping that.
We'll Photoshop it. Other one I had was Montgomery and Gibbs, best 2 running backs in the league on the
I
same
had
team.
that down too, if we're going to do serious ones.
I also had Evans and Godwin, just one of the most consistent wide receiver 1 and 2 combinations in the league, if you ask me.
And for them to stay together this long through this many iterations of that offense and different quarterbacks, I feel like it's rare you see that anymore. Like, usually one of those guys would be gone off this team for one reason or another.
And they both make Baker Mayfield look like a top 5 quarterback in the league. So that's got to, you have to say something there.
That'll stop this week.
Ben, best 1-2 punch.
I was going to say Aaron Rodgers and blaming others.
Yes. No self-accountability. I like it.
Blaming others or Aaron Rodgers and excuses. That's a good one. But another one I was going to go with along the same lines of the Lions one. I was going to go Lions offensive line and Lions running backs in the run game.
Great one.
Coming together in the run game. We're talking about the best running back duo, as Carter said, in the league, along with the best offensive line in the league as well.
What's the worst 1-2 punch, Dylan?
Wide receivers and touchdown celebrations. Referees and flags.
Referees and flags.
After Monday Night Football, you threw me
That's a
off.
good
You
one.
threw me off there. I'm trying to think because we've had some GUN celebrations from the wide receivers after scoring touchdown. Can't be doing that.
What about former athletes and Instagram Live?
That's
Maybe
what
like
about technology?
Maybe talk show hosts and Instagram Live.
Transition to NBA, current athletes and Instagram Live would be a good one.
Maybe just Instagram Live in general. It's just awful.
Yeah, they need to ban it.
Jerry Jones in interviews.
Oh, that's
Jerry
a good
Jones in
one.
interviews.
Jerry Jones in
I think we do.
integrated schools.
Ooh.
You might need to cut that one.
But that was good. Oh man,
Saints and salary management.
Cowboys running backs and hitting a top speed of over 10 miles an hour.
Ooh, that's a good one. This is fun. This is like a little brainstorming session here.
Yeah, this is nice brainstorming. Should we move on?
I think
We can move on. I'm out.
Yeah, we
I'm
can
out of
move on.
ideas. But that was
Real
good.
quick-
That's good.
Let's just go through some games real quick. Let's start off. Thursday night stinks. Broncos Saints. Broncos are a 2.5-point favorite. Spencer Rattler, Jake Hayner. Who knows what's happening at quarterback? Yeah.
I had to make a graphic for this game, and I had no clue who to put on it. I thought about putting Sean Payton. I thought about copying the broadcast crew.
That's what
That's so
Amazon
funny.
did. Yeah.
I ended up putting a picture of Bo Nix with his hands over his head, but you know what? It's fine.
Sean
Yeah,
Payton revenge game.
I don't have. Yeah. Sean Payton revenge game. Does anybody have any thought or care about this game? Be honest.
I blindly
No.
took the under.
Under.
I
Under.
took
This
the
is
under.
this is the easiest. This is like 2021, 2022. Just play the hits. Thursday night football under right here. These are two really bad teams. You can't really say anything with Rattler. The only reason I'm worried about the under is because I could realistically see 3 pick sixes in this game.
That's so true. You know what? Somebody check on Al Michaels because I think he is going to just be snoozing by the fourth quarter. Oh, man.
This you call the London game the Lunder. Is this the Thunder?
Ooh,
NBA season coming up. I like this, Carter.
The
the Thunder. I
Thunder
like
are a sneaky under team.
Well, we're going to have to do this because the London game is going over. So,
let's
Lover.
talk about that
Lover.
then. Jags Pats, it's 42.5. Jags by 5.5. You're going over?
Jags defense, dead last opponent yards per game, 31st total yards per game, 30th opponent yards per play. Patriots defense, I'm not even going through the numbers. They're horrible too. I think this is a weird, two bad teams playing each other with has like 50 points in this game.
Yeah.
You talked me into it.
Yeah, I'm going over too. I love it.
If there was ever a game Drake May is going to like come out of his shell early on, this is it. And you know what? We can go ahead and dive into this. If the Jags lose this game as a 6-point favorite, Doug Peterson should be banished from the NFL. I don't know. Maybe have his U.S. passport revoked. I don't know what we're doing. If they don't win this game by double digits, he should not be the coach of the Jaguars.
He's not getting on that plane back to Florida if they lose this game.
They have to win by 10 or more. I mean that. If it's like a field goal walk-off win, I don't care. Still fire him. I do not care.
We joke about London being a de facto home game for the Jaguars because they play there all the time. But in all seriousness, if you take your team to London, you stay there, you lose to a rookie quarterback the first week, who I'm still not convinced is all that great, and then you lose to another rookie quarterback in his second start. Yeah,
with horrible weapons, horrible O-line. The Pats defense is literally the Pats team is probably the worst in the league.
I see a world where the Jags could win this game and he still gets fired. Honestly, if they don't look great, if the Jags win by 3, I could see that world.
Yeah,
I'm very excited for Doug Peterson to get fired and then get hired by another team and initially look good and be like, okay, yeah, Doug Peterson just brings some professionalism and stability to this franchise, and then they just it just seems like that's just what happens every time. Yeah. I do think this is one of those spots where I unfortunately like the Jags because I can't quit the Jags. It's an issue.
The drop number,
the drops
get to me.
Yes, I like them in every single spot, and I like them here. But I may need to be cut off if they lose this one.
What is crazy to me? I'm curious your guys' opinion. If they don't play 2 straight games in London, is Peterson gone after last week? If it's just a normal game.
I don't know.
Oh, that's a great question.
I feel like the 2 straight in London, you can't really fire him in the middle of a 2-week London stretch, no matter what.
I don't know if that matters, but I think it's...
That would have been so funny if you just got fired after
Imagine that flight home. Oh, my God.
You just stuck in London.
All of a sudden, he lands in Jacksonville. It's like, Bill Belichick, what are you doing here? It's like, oh, no.
Dylan, let me paint you a theory.
Okay, I love theories.
Urban Meyer comes into Jacksonville. He gets fired. And then Doug Peterson comes in. Ryan Day leaves Ohio State, comes into Jacksonville this season after Doug Peterson gets fired. Question mark. Could we see a similar path?
NFL coach.
Ryan Day to the Jags.
If you want to lose games,
want to lose
the big games.
Yeah,
if you want to lose big games,
they'll win this game if you have Ryan Day.
But then you have a big game against a powerhouse divisional juggernaut like the Titans. It's like, can he, or like a rival, can he win the rival game?
Or if he plays like the Chargers, no shot they win that game.
Oh, there's no shot. No shot. I'll go one farther. No shot that they beat the Ravens.
No, I think that's fair. Titans, Bills minus 9.5. This is a huge spread. Look, I think
9.5 now.
It's 9.5. We getting Rudolph the Red-Nosed...
Don't do it. Dylan, do not do it.
We're getting Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer in this game?
No, we're not. But I'm going Titans. I understand. I understand. Right? I'm battling the bias allegations all week. It's absolutely miserable. Don't look at the comments. But there's still something in the back of my mind that tells me that Bears game, the Jets game, like regardless of how bad Will Levis is, we still probably should have won. We're 2 boneheaded decisions away from winning those games. And the Bills are going to look great with Amari Cooper. I get it. They beat the Jets, primetime, maybe a fading and overreaction there with the Bills. I'm taking the Titans, plus 9.5. These guys get paid too. Trust me, I know.
Crazy.
I hear all about how much they pay Calvin Ridley.
But they played the Dolphins and Skylar Thompson in the playoffs a couple years ago, and everybody was like, man, doesn't matter. He covered.
He did.
I guess. Sure.
All-time cover.
I'm not touching this game.
No. These games this week, it's either they're like, okay, this is pretty awesome, or these are awful and should only be shown in prisons because these are terrible games. Like Dolphins-Colts. Yuck. This is a game that Scott Hansen's going to keep going to because these teams will be in the red zone, and nobody ends up converting in the red zone. It's just gross football in this
Colts
game.
defense, Miami offense. Movable object versus stoppable force. We're right back.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah, give me the Colts. Who cares in that spot? Bengals, Browns. We got Bengals minus 6.5 on the road in Cleveland after the Amari Cooper trade. I'm not betting the Browns, but I guess what? I'm not laying 6.5 on the road in a divisional game for the Bengals with this defense.
No, because this Bengals team, no matter who they play, even when they are winning these games, it's like that disgusting Sunday Night Football game.
Yep.
You could see Cincinnati coming in there, winning 17-14 and just getting out and being like, oh, that was gross. Or winning by 6. Like, I think it's this Cincinnati team. They haven't done enough against anyone, especially a divisional opponent, to go, yeah, they're going to win by at least a touchdown. I don't see it.
Seahawks at Falcons. This is the game where Kirk Cousins just keeps putting up insane stats. He's going to carve up this Seahawks defense. This Seahawks defense, now that they've gone against real offenses, we're seeing what they actually are. Kirk Cousins, if he goes against a average to below average defense, he's going to be able to destroy them. He's not going to get pressured in this game. Kirk Cousins is going to dominate the Seahawks. I love the Falcons in this spot, Dylan.
This is bird game, obviously.
Bird game.
Both teams pass over 60% of the time. They both have success passing over 5.5 yards per play. Both teams run over 65 plays per game. You guys see where I'm going with this. The Falcons' defense is really bad. I'm going over here. I'm going over 50.5. It's gross. It's not Dylan behavior, but I think both these teams put up a lot of points.
When two bird teams are playing, the ball's going to be in the air quite a bit, so therefore the clock's going to stop more and the over. So
and birds are faster than humans.
Fast field, fast uniforms, bird game.
Yep.
I love it.
Color rush. This needs to be a color rush game.
Oh,
Eagles at Giants. For the sake of every Eagles hater and non-Eagles fan and Eagles fans, the Giants need to win this game.
I'm abstaining from any real analysis here because I'm just invested in the Eagles losing every game. And I do think just from here until the end of the season, we're going to say the same thing when we talk about every Eagles game, and that's if they lose, Nick Sirianni's fired. Like this game, if they lose, Nick Sirianni's fired.
What if he's standing with his kids though?
Now, if he uses his human if he uses his human DNA shields at his press conference, then that's a different story. Can't fire him when he does that, right? What a class act. He just cares about his kids. Hey,
what if he bleaches his hair next week?
Well, he has no hair to bleach.
There is no hair.
Hey.
He should have reversed that order. He should have bleached it first and then shaved it the second time this happened.
Guys, come on.
He has the Joe Burrow hair with like the frosted tips.
Like, Nick Sirianni, you're looking like Ellen DeGeneres this week. What's going on?
Cut him some slack. It's tough to win in this league, guys. Come on.
Tough to win in this league, especially against teams like the Browns and the Panthers. It's real tough.
Hey, all that being said, Eagles -3.
Stop.
I can't bet the Eagles. I did it, and it just felt wrong, and
Eagles
I was kicking myself in the butt.
I'm doing
Giants money line.
I'm a Giants fan.
Money line. There we go. Panthers, Commanders, just going to be bad defense and a lot of points in this game. Jayden Daniels should be able to carve up this poopy Panthers defense. I don't think there's more to add, Connor.
But 8.5 is a lot of points. I hate to say it. I don't want to be on this anti-Commanders train, but 8.5 is a ton of points. Andy Dalton's going to be able to move the ball.
He is going to be able to move the ball. So that's why I just say, give me points. Give me the over in this game.
Yeah, that's fair. And if the Commanders are up 2 scores at the end, I have full faith in Andy Dalton getting a garbage time touchdown for no reason. That scares me. The over a touchdown spread scares me.
Yeah, the fact that Ian Thomas still plays. Hey, Dylan, Ben, Connor, all of us here have equal amount of touchdowns as starting tight end Ian Thomas over the last 4 seasons.
Why am I not making as much money?
I don't know. But guess what? We all have the same amount of touchdowns as him since 2024.
It's beautiful. So. Can I add something here real quick?
Yeah.
I think the Panthers win this game. I'm going Panthers money line. I'm getting them to cover, and here's why. There is a path, right? The Panthers run the ball actually pretty well. This Washington Commanders pass rush is abysmal, 24th in the league. Commanders 7-5 straight up when favored by a touchdown or more in the last 20 years.
Okay, fine. I'll bet the Panthers, Dylan.
Yep, fine.
All I need to see. Give me the Panthers outright.
Yep, give me the Panthers outright. Give me Panthers plus 8.5. Give me the money line. Give me Andy Dalton to throw for 300 plus. Give me every prop.
4 touchdowns. Rushing touchdown.
Rushing touchdown.
Give me the Panthers. Raiders Rams nap game of the week, Dylan.
I have nothing written down about this game.
Good, because let's move on.
6.5 though is crazy.
Cooper Kupp might be back too. I thought I saw that.
Yeah.
Puka, I think, is eligible to come back now, too, but it's, I don't know, gross.
Too busy recruiting BYU basketball players to come back.
Yeah, baby. That's what you like to see. Chiefs, Niners, we touched on it. Jets, Steelers, we touched on it. We'll do Monday night recap Monday night preview on the Sunday recap show. Let's do a parlay and let's get out of here. Dylan, what's your pick?
Is Lions plus 2.5 stepping on anybody's toes?
No, we can do it.
Okay.
Lions plus 2.5, Connor.
I am terrified to do this because you screwed us with this last week and going overseas. Am I allowed to take the London game?
For sure.
I'm going to take the 1-5 Jags, the 1-5 Patriots over 42.5 for my pick this week.
Dylan, should we move it to Lions money line or keep the plus 2.5?
Go money line.
You sure?
Yep. Boost the odds. Boost the odds.
Okay.
Boost the odds. Okay, money line. Ben.
Giants money line.
I love it. Oh, this is awesome.
Give me Seahawks Falcons over.
Love that too. This one hits. How does this one
Two
hit?
underdog money line picks, 2 overs. We're back.
We are so back. This is a gross one. But we've hit our gross one. We hit the grossest one this year. The one we hit.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Oh well. Anyhow. Well, and also Dylan's not fading the Lions this week. So maybe I should hammer the Vikings now. I think he just has a wrong read on the lines every week. Maybe I hammer the Vikings. I don't know. Brain exercise there.
Internal thoughts.
Follow us at KarterKast on everything. Make sure to subscribe, rate, review, do what you got to do to help out. Download SeatGeek, use code KarterKast. $20 off your first purchase on SeatGeek. Download SeatGeek today. Use code KarterKast. At Wilkerson 8 Dylan, at BD Hammond 28, at Connor_Sparrow, at Karter B8. You've seen it all throughout the show. If you're watching on YouTube and Spotify, make sure to follow us on Twitter. And we'll be back on Sunday night for the recap show. We'll see y'all then. Bye.